Welcome back to Where BoroWalk. If you joined us last week, you will have met the only two Boro fans I can find in the country, which will still Carrick in Jonathan and Craig. We grabbed Will back this week just to see if he's still in that camp and whether or not that Bristol City game has changed their mind, because pretty much all we're seeing is Carrick out. Welcome back to 20 minutes of Boro chat. Jack says he's a lovely fella, but his time at Boro is up, though. Here's our topics for this week. Have fans now fully turned on Carrick? Are there any positives we can take from that Bristol City game? We're also looking at the Boro March fixtures. How many points out of 15 will Boro pick up? We're doing our predictions on that. And we're asking at the end of this video, what is the one team down at the bottom that you'd love to see get relegated? Which fan base is doing our head in? But we'll get to that in a second. It's 30 weeks now we've been doing Boro chat, so we'd love it if you could drop and get us 30 likes on this particular video this week. Thank you very much for rejoining us. We know lots of other Boro podcasts are Carrick out, so we'll try and not go down them lines. But Jonathan, last week you were very much Carrick in. Got to back the man. Are you still in that boat?
I don't know what to say. I was at Ashton Gate. I was there on Friday. I went to the match, and you know what? He got a right barracking at the end of it with the old two-fingered salutes and etc. And Borge thought it was all aimed at him, but it wasn't. It was aimed at Carrick, and Carrick came and took the heat off him. But you got to say, look, there's a quiet minority, or probably minority, who gave a ripple of applause as well, and I guess to respect the players and that. So everyone, you know what? My feeling is everybody wants them to do well, but more and more, everyone's had enough now and said, I'm not quite there. I'm hanging on by fingertips that he might do something still.
So a Stoke victory and a Derby 1-0 scruffy winner, that would push you over the edge this week?
You know what I want is the difference of when I saw Bristol, right, is they're a good championship team. And what I mean by that, they're aggressive, intense and relentless. And technically, I swear to God, we're better than them. But in terms of the other three elements, I'm not suggesting we weren't trying or anything like that, but they were just on us every minute of the whole 90 and up for it. And we just couldn't compete in that arena. And that's what Carrick needs to get out of the players.
Yeah. Tommy Conway's celebration didn't help with that, I don't think, either. He could have just played that a little bit more down low. Craig, last week you were very much kind of adamant. No, we can't keep sacking managers. We're not this sort of club that like a Watford or anything like that. But where are you this week?
I'm still in, but I'm so frustrated. I mean, the way the game panned out, and I thought he made a few changes to the lineup, and I thought, yeah, I can see where he's going. Good. Ayling was benched, Dijksteel came in, Fry came in, and I thought, yeah, that's positive because Edmondson and Ayling hadn't particularly been playing well, but away from home to start Conway and Iniacho, and then how the game panned out, and they made three subs on 60 minutes, 62 minutes, something like that. The game changed, they dominated it, and we didn't make a change until after they'd scored both goals. And you're thinking, for 10, 15 minutes before they scored the equaliser, they dominated and we were in our own half. And I thought, do something, make some changes tactically or player-wise, and there was nothing. And I thought, that's our own fault. That's his fault. He should have proactively thought, right, cling on, fight for what you've got, keep what you've got. And even, I mean, I wouldn't like to see it, but even if he brought Barlasser on to shore up the midfield, or even Edmondson and go three at the back, something to kind of shore it up, but nothing.
Yeah, there were hundreds of tweets which backed up that point, Craig. I've grabbed a few of them here. It's the sarcastic one from Craig. He's right in what he says. The only thing which maybe could have changed the result is if he freshened the side up when the lads were flagging at 60 minutes. That's underneath Carrick's interview on Twitter. Right then, Will, you're the youth of this particular production, so you've got a fresh mind to all this. You've not seen too many managers come and go, so you've got to be behind Carrick, haven't you?
Yeah, I had a few days to rethink things, had a few conversations with people, and ultimately it came down to who would replace him, who would. And I've seen the names. There's Steve Cooper floating around, and we know the horrible football he plays. And do we want that at our club? Personally, not me. Um, and it's also Carrick's now had this project going for was it about 2 years, 2.5 years coming up. I think it'd just be a shame to waste it. And yes, we're in a really, really dark, difficult patch right now. The loan players they need to kick on. The new signings need to kick on to show the fans what they're about. But yeah, we're going to remain positive and optimistic. And yeah, Carrick in.
Okay. There's a great tweet from a Boro fan to a Sunderland fan saying, "Look, Sunderland fans booing their first loss at home. Try and be a Boro supporter at this moment in time." Let's have a look at a few more then, shall we? Now, Matthew Bye has been a big defender of Carrick on social media, but even this week he turned and said, "I've defended him and the assistant long enough, but it's time to go. Iheanacho for Latte Lath is a disgusting downgrade too." And I think coupled, as we said last week, Jonathan, with this downturn in form, is the January players that just aren't doing it. And Iheanacho is in particular one who seems to be grabbing the ire of Boro fans.
Yeah, I have to say against Bristol, he's I know he's not playing striker. I know that was Conway's job, and he wasn't up top. But the lack of presence we had in the box, in and around the box, it was empty after time. So the few attacks we did have, it was, you were just dying for a bit of forward momentum, but it just wasn't there. And obviously, what Lath used to give you, we don't have at this moment in time, and that's for sure. We missed that sort of intent, and Iheanacho certainly doesn't give that at the moment. And whether he will, I'm not sure. I've still got doubts about him. My opinion's not changed. That jury is still out. Early days, but jury's out big time.
That's a fair comment. I think people are saying, look, if we can see it, why can't Carrick? Ty says, in the week that we've backed him, and he said top two was the goal, he continues to play Iheanacho, who can barely run and offers nothing. He sees us struggling and doesn't make a sub till the 83rd minute. Everyone could see it coming. Whittaker, Conway and Travers were the only decent ones. Craig, do you agree with all that?
Yeah, near enough. I said 2 weeks ago, the Watford game, in the actual, he offered nothing. And to be fair, Whittaker did on that day as well. And I don't see. I've said for about 3 weeks, or since we signed him, I said I don't know why we've got him. He's not a player that Carrick's played. He's not a striker, like in the model that Carrick uses. But at the beginning of the season, Conway and Lath were rotating, so they were like they hardly played together, and one of them was always a number 9, and then they would bring the other one on, and one would start the next game, vice versa. So I don't know why now he's gone with Iheanacho and Conway, when Conway could play the Latte Lath role, not as effective, but he still can do it, and we could shore up the midfield. But he's kind of like got this Iheanacho as though he's going to do something, and he isn't.
What about Whittaker as well, Will? There's mixed reviews on how he's done for you.
A lot of money spent and a lot of fans excited by it. There's a reason he's been linked with some of Europe's biggest clubs and in the Premier League as well. He's not got started, has he? I thought against Bristol City there was a little bit of an improvement. I actually thought defensively he took up some good positions, and I read some comments on Twitter, people calling him lazy, but I actually disagree with that. I think he actually did put himself about a little bit, some nice touches, but it's not what we brought him in for, is it? We brought him in to really change a game and nick us a goal in the last few minutes, get a cross in the box. But in fairness to him, he's not going to put a cross in the box if no one's in there. So I think he's a long-term signing. I'm not sure how long his contract was, 3 or 4 years at the club. So yeah, I'm going to remain patient with him.
Okay. One final one on this topic to sum it all up. Osborne says, if you listen to this is what Carrick was saying, and believe anything other than his time is up and he is out of his depth, then I don't know what more to say. Referee cost us with the wrong decision. It's like Woodgate with a mask on, which I'm not sure is a compliment at all. Where do we go from here then, John? We're recording this before the Stoke game, of course, which by the time this goes out, it'll be already underway. And then we've got Derby on Saturday, the old grudge match, and Derby fans are looking to get their first win, and how sweet it would be at Steve Gibson's house. there's no love lost between Derby and Steve Gibson. So they're looking forward to that one. This could be a beautiful week and 6 points, so it could be a week from hell. How do you see it going?
Well, what do you want to base it on past form, or do you want to base it on optimism? I mean, take your pick.
Whatever your glass is full.
Kills you, isn't it? So Stoke, we haven't won there since 2020. So I've been there a couple of times. It's a Mark Robbins team as well, so it is Mark Robbins, isn't it? Yeah. That's just double trouble, to be honest with you. And Derby, of course, we've got the whole spat with the fans and the Gibson thing, and that playing out in the background. We should have stuffed them at their place last time, and of course we had the Jones error. I don't. You know what? I'll tell you this though. I'll just go back to Bristol for a second. Borges, I've got to tell him, on the left side, had a decent shift, and with Bergzorg, and there was a little sign about Whittaker that Will just mentioned there, and a couple of your tweets mentioned as well. So there's a couple of tiny little signs that they can hang on to, that if they can just amplify those a little bit more. And it's like, it's not like Rav and Fry are playing bad at the back. It's just the way we play is just too open and allows too much space. So it's not like there's one player that you can pick out. But if as a collective we could just be more tight and unified, then we got a chance for sure. But the confidence has got to be the biggest issue, and that's my biggest concern, is whether they can grab any of that. And they're going to need a goal for that to happen, and probably 2 goals for that to be really cemented in.
Yeah.
Doesn't answer your question at all, I know, but
That's okay. It's crystal ball gazing, and we love it. Let us know. I mean, we talked to the Derby fans last night, of course, as we do all 24 teams, and there is, although it happened a long time ago, Craig, in terms of footballing years, there's still this no hatred between the two clubs for what Middlesbrough tried to do to Derby in their view. Do you think that has any bearing on the game at all on Saturday?
No, it won't have a bearing as the match as an actual match and a result. Obviously, there'll be a bit of spike in there from fans, and I'd imagine going to the ground on Saturday and stuff, there'll be fans knocking around, and there'll be a bit of abuse and the Gibson masks and all that type of stuff. I was at Derby right at the beginning of the season when we got beat 1-0, and it was horrible. The atmosphere was horrible. The abuse we got. I took my kids to it, and the abuse we got. We were right on the barrier to the home fans, and I was like, Jesus. I was like, so I'd love them to go down.
Yeah, I thought you were going to come on to that.
Sorry,
in a minute. Yeah,
but yeah,
that's okay. No, we'll come on to that. Yeah, their view is that Gibson obviously tried to basically end their existence through the courts or whatever. But
it's Mel's fault, though, isn't it? It was Mel's fault.
It was Mel's fault. Yeah, it definitely was.
What's that thing about throwing stones in glass houses?
That's right. Yeah. Should be a good one. Middlesbrough Derby this weekend. Let's have a look at the March fixtures then, Will, and let's just see post Derby where this is heading and how many points out of 15 will likely see the Boro pick up in the month of March. I can't believe it's March, by the way. Derby at home, as we've already said. Then you've got QPR and Oxford also to come to the Riverside before March finishes, with a couple trips to, on paper, relatively straightforward trips to Swansea and Luton. So this month, this is it, isn't it? This is your make or break month for the Boro.
Yeah, it's really favourable if we hadn't just lost 5 in a row. I think, as I mentioned earlier about potentially getting some momentum towards the end of the season, this has to be it, because I think after this we still have Blackburn, as you can see there, Leeds, Norwich, Coventry. So 4 teams that are, could be going down. They're going to be fighting for their lives, but so we should be fighting to end our season well. And the players and Carrick should want to get the fans back on track. And yeah, I'm gonna say 9. I feel like we might just do something stupid at Swansea, and I'm not totally convinced by this weekend Derby either. Yeah, I'm gonna go for maybe 1 or 2 losses there.
Okay. Any advance on 9 from either Jonathan or Craig? No.
Yeah, 15. Come on, let's go for it.
Okay, right. It's not. I mean, you started the season on fire, didn't you? You could well finish the season on fire as well and have this little blip in the middle. Right, let us know in the comments what you do. Before we let you go, then this week we are, of course, doing some predictions up and down the league to end our season. And this week we're we're asking which fan base would we like to see the back of from this league. We put it down to 9 teams. We think everyone above Preston is pretty much safe now, so no prizes for guessing where this is going to go. But Jonathan, which fan base does you head in more than any other?
It's obvious, isn't it? Because the needle, isn't it? So it's Derby. It has to be out of them lot, to be honest with you. What else? You got Luton, Cardiff. I don't want to go down because we've got a great record away at Cardiff at the minute, so I need them to stay up. I think me and the boy have been to the last 3 times. I think we're about 10-1 up in aggregate, something like that. So we need Derby to stay. Cardiff to stay up. But yeah, Derby, I guess. Derby. It has to be Derby because of this.
Okay, Craig.
Yeah, Derby. And I wouldn't mind if Hull went down, Like, I don't like what the owner did last season where he apparently he's broke a lot of the FFP rules. I remember seeing an interview with Kieran Scott last season and he said, I don't know how they're doing it. Like, because last January they spent a fortune on loans and loans to buy. And he was saying, I don't know what they're going to do because if they don't go up, they're in big trouble. So to make a gamble like that, if they go down, like, I suppose they kind of deserve it, yeah. But Derby, and maybe a bit of Hull.
Derby and a bit of Hull. Will?
Just to be a little bit different, I'm going to say Luton is a bit of a personal thing with me. But also I think that they've come down from the Premier League. Everyone was saying, "Oh, we're going to go win the league. We're going to win the league this time." They lost players, Barkley, a couple of others, and they didn't really bring any reinforcements in. And it would just be nice to see them spend all this money and time preparing their new stadium to go down and play in League One. I'm going to go with Luton.
Oh, you mean you lot? Right, okay. Thanks so much for that. Absolutely right. Let us know. Let us know in the comments which team you would love to see go down, and of course, we'll wish you all the best for Stoke City and of course Derby County at the weekend. I don't think it's going to be an unpleasant watch for Steve Gibson if Derby go 1-0 up in the 20th minute or something. It's going to be an interesting atmosphere at the Riverside on Saturday. Right, enjoy it though whilst you can, and of course we'll see you hopefully and these 3 back here next week to review all of it. Do drop us a like and subscribe if you haven't yet done so already. 20 minutes of Boro Chat weekly. See you next week.